Hi, and welcome back to the Clutterbug podcast. I'm so excited today. We have Anne Dunnington here with us. I've been following you for a while. I love your YouTube channel. So I'm so excited to introduce you to my listeners. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Thank you so much, Cass. I'm so excited to be here. And I too have been a follower of yours for such a long time. And we did a collab about 7 years ago with Catherine from Do It on a Dime. It's been a long time. So I think we need to do another one.
I think we do too. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I have been doing the YouTube thing since March of 2010, I believe is how long it's been now. And then, of course, Instagram and TikTok at this point too. And over the course of the last maybe 10 or 15 years, I've gotten really into natural health and wellness and being able to help support our bodies, to heal our bodies in the way that they are meant to heal, which is the right tools. And we actually encountered that firsthand with my husband's story. He has recovered from autoimmune back in 2016. He's been in remission ever since, literally by making lifestyle choices. So that's become such a big focus for us because we've seen it work firsthand. And it's really a cool thing. When we let the body do what it's supposed to do, it knows what it's supposed to do.
I love that. So I have an autoimmune disease. I have Hashimoto's, and I was diagnosed in 2014, but it started right after my son was born. And going to the doctors, they gave me pills that kind of helped with the symptoms. And they were like, I don't know, something's wrong with your body.
Sure.
Here's some pills. It's because you had a baby. And I'm like, but there's gotta be something else going on.
Right.
So I've tried a lot of things, but making a huge lifestyle change like that is difficult for me.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I've been not so great at it, but I would love to hear what you'd recommend or what's really working in your family. And maybe you can share with our listeners easy ways to dip their toe in the water and gradually build up. I found I did go into remission when I stopped eating carbohydrates and sugar, but I also found that so restricting that I wasn't able to maintain that. And so as soon as I started eating that way again, my Hashimoto's came right back.
Right. When my husband was diagnosed in 2016, the doctor that he saw was a very good, like with diagnostic, he said, okay, we think this is Crohn's is what what he was given. But he didn't say it was autoimmune. We didn't know until after we got home and I started doing a bunch of research. And I actually have a friend who has Crohn's as well. And she just happened to mention in passing that Crohn's is autoimmune. She was talking about how he may be able to work from home or, because it's covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act because it's autoimmune. And as soon as she said autoimmune, in my head, I thought, okay, paleo autoimmune protocol. So 3 years or 4 years prior to that, we were gluten-free. And I was getting a whole bunch of gluten-free cookbooks. And one of them was a paleo cookbook. And the girl who wrote that just happened to mention, oh, these are a part of the paleo autoimmune protocol. And I just put that in my Rolodex in my head because I didn't know, if I would ever need that or whatever. And so then it all comes rushing back to me as soon as my friend said it's autoimmune. I asked my husband, I said, okay, I know there's this thing called paleo autoimmune protocol. It's a diet. People have had really good experience with that getting into remission. He was desperate. And so he's like, let's try it. So cold turkey, we went paleo autoimmune protocol. And so basically what that is, it's a way of eating that does eliminate sugar, grains, and dairy. And it eliminates other things too, like nuts and seeds and nightshades and various things that can be inflammatory for some people when they're in that heightened immune state. And so it was pretty immediate with his recovery. Within the first round of blood work he had after the hospital release, he started to see his numbers get better and better and better. The thing that was kind of the most frustrating part with that, though, is we would go back to see his doctor for 6-week checkups and things like that. And his doctor at the time didn't think diet had anything to do with how well you would feel with an autoimmune disease. Diet wasn't any part of it. His suggestion was to eat a low residue diet, which is not very nutritious. It's like white bread and baby food and things that just kind of pass right through you, right? But it doesn't really offer a lot of nutrition. So that was kind of the first eye-opening thing to where we knew that we needed to kind of think more holistically in his healing because the traditional Western medicine methods, I didn't feel were going to cut it. So that's why we started with
Yeah.
diet.
I think you're right, and I mean, and for me in my journey too, the proof was in the pudding. When I
Absolutely.
stopped eating sugar and carbohydrates, I went into remission. So I get my
Mhm.
blood work taken every month, and I was like, I was too high, and he's like, "You have to stop taking your medication." We were lowering it, and then as soon as I started eating, sugar and carbs again, I had to go back on the medication. So I know, Anne. I hear what you're saying.
I know.
Stop eating it. But
Yeah,
it is very hard because it's everywhere and
it
it's
is.
in everything.
It
This
is.
is a lifestyle change
Right.
forever. And what I
Right.
found was just in my own, obviously the pregnancy triggered an autoimmune response
Hmm.
it's like it flicked a switch
Right.
that I'm not able to switch back off.
Yeah.
So, do you think in your husband's case, if you went back to eating that type of food, would he then, like, is this like once the switch is flicked, it's on forever type of thing?
His original doctor said that it's something that never goes away. It's always kind of underlying, and you just want to see if you can get it to a place to where it's not a bother. So we have reintroduced some foods that were eliminated from the initial elimination stage of the paleo autoimmune protocol, and we have more reintroductions still to go. And he's done very successfully with all of the introductions so far. So there's other things that factor in outside of just food when it comes to autoimmune. What we've learned over the years is stress is a huge, huge trigger. And anytime he may have a small minor flare up, that lasts a couple of hours, it's 9 times out of 10 stress related. And so over the last couple of years, it's been a stressful time collectively for everyone. And so that's something that we've really needed to be mindful of is helping to release that stress also. So that's another factor that we didn't even know that was a thing. And it's definitely a trigger for many, many
It
people.
is.
It
I
is.
feel like I need some help in the stress department for
Right.
sure. And obviously like looking at it, yes, being pregnant was such a huge stress mentally and
Absolutely.
physically,
Yep.
which could be what sort of flicked that switch. And I think I've been in sort of a constant state of stress ever since, if I'm
Yep.
being completely honest. So
Yeah.
give me some
Understandable. Yeah.
stress releasing tips. Give it to me. Give it to
So,
me. Give it to all of us.
we all need it, right? So, one thing that we have really been starting to do is vagus nerve exercises. So, if any of your listeners are on Instagram or are on TikTok, which I'm sure many are, there are so many good accounts on there that talk about how to do really easy vagus nerve exercises. And vagus nerve is kind of the thing that helps with your stress response, your sympathetic or parasympathetic state. Have you heard of this before?
I No, I was
Yeah.
thinking, I love Las Vegas and I wanna go back to Vegas, but I think we're not talking about
That's a
the same
stressful place.
thing.
Yes, the vagus nerve. It's a really interesting, it's like a really long nerve. And I'm not, a doctor or a nurse or a scientist or anything. This is just stuff that I've come across on the world of the internet. And so the vagus nerve runs the entire length and it helps to control whether you are in rest and digest or fight or flight. And so we can do something really easily. There's points behind the earlobes, kind of where the jaw and the neck meet, and you can gently massage that area, and that can help trigger that rest and digest, that parasympathetic state. And so it can get our body from being, super high, if it's either high functioning anxiety or if it's just an anxious state after an event or whatever, it can bring that stress down to where you're at kind of baseline again. And there's so many different things you can do. Put your legs up the wall or go for a gentle walk. Even being outside, just standing in the grass barefoot can also be really, really helpful in that case. So,
I love that. I have definitely noticed I know people always say, "Go outside, go outside, go outside," and I
yeah,
kind of rolled my eyes like,
right.
okay." But when I'm outside in nature, I do. It
Yeah,
is amazing
right.
how calming it is
Absolutely.
for the body.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I love
Yeah.
that, and I know you're really into essential oils.
Yes, definitely.
So And I love that. My sister's also very into essential oils, and I remember
Yeah.
one day I had a terrible migraine, and I always
Oh,
kind of thought I thought, "Well, I don't, it's a little woo-woo. I'm not very woo-woo." And she
yeah.
said, "Let me rub some peppermint oil on your temple." And I laughed at her, and I was like,
Yep.
"Okay,
Right.
Jennifer." Listen,
Yeah.
it
Oh, yeah.
immediately, I would say within a few minutes,
Hmm.
my headache dulled.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. The constituents, the thing that's interesting and a lot of people don't realize about essential oils, when you first like hear about them, you think about a room spray or you think about a candle or, aromatherapy lotion or whatever. You think of it just as being this placebo effect, right? But when it comes to essential oils, there's actually molecules in there that help the body. It's kind of like the vagus nerve, right? Helps the body to reset and do what it's supposed to. So they can help from anything from helping with skin stuff to immune stuff to stomach stuff to all the things. So, yeah, they've been an integral part in our health journey. It's not what started it, but they have fit right in and like plugged a lot of holes for us. So,
I love that. Okay. So I'm like a peppermint oil. That's my
yeah.
thing. That's like
Oh, yeah.
my now I love it and I
Right.
use it to clean because I do find it like repels insects and bugs
Yeah,
and I love the smell and it
absolutely.
helps with headaches. So what is your sort of go-to oil? I would love to know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of them that do a whole lot of things. And so two of them are frankincense and lavender. So both of those have over 1,000 documented uses each. So when in doubt, pull lavender out or frankincense out, either of those, because they really will. If you don't know what to reach for at any given time, those two can do a whole lot. So yeah, there's many a time where I will just reach for lavender if I am outside in the sun too long and I come back in and I'm a little pink and I'm, not the most tan person in the world. And
Yeah,
so
me
I,
neither.
I do, I burn a little bit. And so just putting lavender right on that. I sleep great because lavender is just wonderful for sleep. Wake up the next day and it's like I was never out in the sun. It's absolutely incredible when you get good, high quality
Really?
essential oils
Like it's
because
good
they
for
really,
this for
absolutely.
your skin
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah. I actually
okay.
keep a bottle of lavender in the kitchen for kitchen accidents. So if I happen to nick my finger while I'm cutting something, or if I'm pulling something out of the oven and it gets, a little burn on my hand or whatever, lavender right on the area. It's like, I don't know, magical. It works so well.
This is so fascinating.
Yeah.
I have some amazing lavender that I love that I just, diffuse, but I've never thought, and it does help
Mhm.
relax me. I don't
Oh,
know.
sure.
Maybe it's in my head, maybe it's not. I don't care. It works when I need to go to sleep.
Right.
But I never knew you could just apply it topically.
Yeah.
This is very cool as I
Yeah.
love the smell.
Oh yeah, it's so nice. And lavender is what we think of when we think of aromatherapy a lot of the time, too, right? When you think of aromatherapy candles at wherever or the lotions and that kind of thing, it's the first for many people they think lavender just because it's such a calming and relaxing scent. And it's an adaptogen too, so it helps us to adapt to stressful situations. So when it comes to needing to relax, anxious feelings, panicky feelings and that kind of thing, just smelling lavender, even you don't even have to put it on, is enough for many people.
I love that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, so I've been following your journey
Mhm.
and I just want to talk for a second because this is
Yes.
very exciting. When I was watching you on YouTube years ago, we
Yeah,
were in the same like home space,
absolutely.
decluttering, organizing home things, and then you had this big life change
Yes.
and then you sold everything.
All of it. Sold everything.
Everything.
Yes,
You had like a blanket and a pillow on the floor. Please
that's right.
tell us about this journey because I feel like now you're sort of starting fresh again. And I want to hear all about that. And I can't wait to see your journey, but also hear your perspective of sort of starting over with very minimal things.
Right. So my husband and I were in our late 30s and we feel like we're just coming right out of college to our first apartment almost. Like it's been such a crazy ride. In 2019, the spring of 2019, we did sell everything with the intention to go down to Orlando to do a year to do Disney content, not for Disney, but for my own channel. During that entire time, my father in law unfortunately got very sick and he passed away suddenly. 2020. So what we were going to spend as a year down in Orlando turned into 3 months. So at the end of 2019, we came back up here and we've been living with my mother in law ever since then. Now, as soon as 2020 hit, we all know the world shut down, the housing market went crazy. And so we've been looking for a house for about 2.5 years now. And the houses, the prices are astronomical. People are putting in curb offers. Like they don't even care about inspections. It doesn't even matter. So it took us a good 50 or 75 or more houses to find the right one. And we found the right one just within the last month, and we get the keys for it next week. But we are starting completely from scratch. I think to our name right now, all we have is like a couple of forks and our clothes and an instant pot. And so we're starting completely over, which is a nice, fresh slate, which is good, but it's also a little overwhelming because it's, like, oh gosh, well, I have to go buy some dishes and glasses and all these things that we haven't had to think about for the last 20 years. And now, now we do. But it is a really nice, refreshing start because now we can pick the things that we want to have. And we know now what living minimally really means. Like we were okay, not that I would want to do it again, but sleeping on the floor with a pillow and a blanket was okay. We think we need all this stuff to be happy, and it's the exact opposite.
I'm so happy for you. Yeah, now you have the knowledge, you have the wisdom to build a home that's filled with like a cultivated collection of things you actually love and need instead of having I still have things from in my 20s that are just like all over the place, that are just adding unnecessary clutter. So this is very exciting. I'm so happy for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we're really excited. And the thing that's going to be a little different about this house versus the other two that we've lived in before, well, I guess three, if you include my mother in law's house, it's not a neighborhood. It's actually in the woods. And so we're going to be learning how to live amongst the critters and all these things. And it's almost like a little mini homestead of sorts. It's definitely a different situation. So we're going to be learning a whole lot along the way, too.
Are you getting chickens? Are you? I'm just curious.
We're
Will
not
there
getting
be
chickens.
chickens in your future?
No, I hear there are snakes in the woods though, so we might have a pet snake just by default. But yeah, we're gonna probably not do the animal thing, but definitely do a lot of food growing for sure.
Oh, I'm so, so, so happy for you. That's
Oh,
awesome. We've also been looking for a home for almost 2 years.
yeah,
What a crazy time, right? It's
absolutely.
it's a crazy time, and the house prices here have tripled,
Oh,
and but now we're starting to see, like, everything's stagnant, right? The
right,
house prices are still extremely overinflated,
yeah,
yet nobody's buying because
right,
interest rates are going up and everything, and I
yeah,
think we're entering a new phase, not to get crazy, but
mhm,
we went through a time where it was like we all had access and we were all buying and
yep,
accumulating and then decluttering like crazy. And now comes a new phase
right,
where we all do need to be more mindful about what we purchase and more mindful even about what we declutter and,
yeah,
being prepared and getting really organized. So I'm excited to see your channel and your journey going forward. And going forward for me, we're looking at how do we save more money? How
yeah,
do we make sure that we are making good decisions for our
right,
financial future? So,
right. Yeah. I think everybody's kind of in that same boat too, like where's the priorities and what can be cut, what is like super important that you need to have in there. And for sure, I think everybody is kind of in this little reset mode a little bit.
yeah, the whole world's kind of in a reset. You're in a major reset. So this is a very exciting time for you. I'm excited to watch you. And I'm excited to learn from you too when it comes to thinking outside the box with health.
Yeah,
Because for a really long time, I was just listening to my doctors who were
sure.
prescribing more and more medication. And my
Yeah.
family doctor recently retired, and I had a new family doctor.
Hmm.
And she said, "How long have you been on this ADHD medication?"
Hmm.
And I told her, and she said, "Well, now, I mean, there's been studies that show that this causes brain damage."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What?"
Right.
She said, "Well, your doctor was older. He probably wasn't keeping up on on new information.
Mhm.
And this is it, right? We
Right.
can't expect medical professionals to know everything and be up
No.
on all the changing things. We have to take a
Yeah.
proactive approach to our health.
Right.
And that includes a holistic
It does.
approach to our
Absolutely.
health.
It sure
So
does.
this is great.
Yeah.
I would love for you to share like your favorite, just give it to me. Your favorite low carb or something you recommend that's like no carb healthy thing. Is it just vegetables? And listen, is it just vegetables and
You
fruit?
know, we
Please.
we do eat a lot of vegetables in our house.
It's
But
not
yeah,
what I wanted to hear.
I know, I know. Yeah, we don't really do a whole lot of low carb, although I guess we probably do, and I don't even really think about it because we don't, we don't eat the grains and the pastas and the things like that very much. I think one of my favorite things that does fall in that low carb type of scale is we eat a lot of avocados. And so we'll make a guacamole, super easy, just to squeeze a lime with some avocado, a little bit of salt, and then use that as a dip for either plantain chips, or we'll eat it with cucumber slices or carrots or anything like that. And that's just a really nice, easy snack that we often have.
It sounds very healthy, Anne.
I
It sounds
know.
very healthy. It sounds a little too healthy. I was hoping you'd tell me like chia pudding or something, you
I
know? I
know.
was like,
Yeah.
it's good. I should try plantain chips. Yes, because
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking for alternatives. I eat like a trash panda. I eat
Yeah.
like a toddler, and it's not good for me. And I'm starting to see the real, like I have been seeing the effects, but I'm
Yeah.
getting older, mid
Yeah.
40s,
Yeah.
and I cannot keep treating my body this way
Sure.
because my body's going on strike. It's like
Right.
I've had enough. It's
Waving the
time to
white
be an
flag.
adult,
Yes.
Cass.
Yeah.
Get it together, man. All right, I'm gonna start rubbing lavender oil on me and
Exactly.
eating
Yep.
more vegetables,
There you
Anne.
go.
Thank you. I'm feeling excited about this. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please let the listeners know how they can find you on social media and follow your journey of starting over in your new place.
Absolutely. So I'm just Ann Dunnington everywhere. I used to, if you followed my channel before, I was Annie's Simple Life. Then it switched to Annie Ever After. Now I'm just Ann Dunnington. So it's a little easier to find. And I am that on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah, and we were talking right before we started recording about your last name. I love it.
Yes.
It's so Bridgerton,
Regal.
like it's Lady Dunnington. That's like literally the best last name.
that's,
So that's how everyone is going to remember you
that's
and
right.
find you. It's because you have the most regal last name. It's so beautiful. Well, thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. I love chatting with you. I hope we can chat
Thank
again in the
you.
future
Absolutely. I'd
about.
love to.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone listening at home. We'll see you next time.